So hey guys, for you guys that have been watching my videos for a long time, I'm pretty sure you remember this guy. This is Think2. This is an F-off, Formula Off-Road vehicle that I built a while back. It's gone through some redesigns because I wanted to make it a little bit better than what it was before. I was having some issues with the axles themselves. I don't know if you guys remember, I was using those bully axles. They turned out to be a little too heavy, both in the actual axle itself, the weight of it, and then the gears inside. They were extremely heavy gears, and the pinion on the motors was just dripping out on them when I would give it higher RPMs. So I tried it and I tried it. I changed the pinions a bunch of times. It didn't cut it. They just kept stripping. So I went ahead and I swapped it. Swapped the axles. I put some XR10 axles on this one, and of course I fitted it with a bunch of hot racing parts, aluminum pieces, especially for the motors themselves, the motor mounts. That's all aluminum, and the reason I did it wasn't really just to, oh well, I got aluminum parts. No, it's because at the speed that these motors go, you need the stability, the extra stability that you get from the aluminum pieces. The plastic parts just won't cut it. They flex too much at those high RPMs. So I went ahead and put as much reinforcement as I could on those plastic axles because I didn't want to change this whole piece for the aluminum piece just to save on weight. I never had any issues with this part being plastic before. It's never given me any trouble. All the gears seem to survive, the abuse. But this piece right here, I did have to go to aluminum because that was an issue. So you guys already know, these motors right here, see if I can get a good view. These are the Tacon 6100 kV motors, 5.5 turns. These motors are really not supposed to be run on 3S with the ESCs that I'm using, but I've been using it for years and it's never given me any trouble, so I'm gonna stick to it. These are these guys right here. These are the Hobbywing Easy Run 60 amp ESCs. They work fine for me. I have two of them working together to run these motors, and I run them at 2S and 3S. For this guy right here, I'm gonna run 3S because I want to get the highest speed possible. I'm sure a lot of you guys already noticed that I have a much bigger battery tray in here. This I 3D printed myself, and I made it to where I could put the ESCs back here, and it's open so that the fan can actually function and cool them down. And that being the biggest issue, you want to keep it cool since it's running pretty much at its max, running these motors at 3S. 6100 kV at 3S power, you're getting, I don't know, something like 80,000 RPM, something ridiculous like that, and that's a lot of amp draw. So you gotta keep these guys as cool as you possibly can. So right now they never failed, but I'm not trying to make this the time that they do. I haven't gotten it all put together yet because there's a lot of other things that I want to put on it. On top of using the ESCs, I'm going to be using this BC to distribute the power, and of course the power is going to come from this guy right here. It's a 5,000 milliamp hour 60 to 120C discharge battery. This is, this should be way overkill, but with the other designs that I was running on this, I was only running a 1300 milliamp hour battery, and that was draining extremely fast. Plus on top of that, it was these two motors running these two ESCs on that one battery was putting a big hit on that battery, and it was having a hard time keeping up, and you could tell the cables were getting hot and all that stuff. So I want to go as safe as I possibly can, and I want the drive to be as long as possible, and I don't want the ESCs to suffer, because if you don't have a strong enough battery, those ESCs are going to suffer. So this is going to fix that issue. It's going to add some weight to the whole thing, but having those two motors in there, you know, I'm going to have way too much power for it to be an issue. So this battery is going to go fit in there. It's actually going to be closed in there, and cables will come out the other side, which I had to do it this way because the way that the battery is designed. So cables will come out of there and connect up here. I don't like them sticking out like that, and I might make some changes to where the cables are actually connected to the battery. I might take this out and make them come from the top, but I'm gonna have to resolder them in there, and I didn't want to do that yet. So I'm just gonna use some as is for now. If everything works out, then I'll change the battery itself. But a big battery like this one, and as powerful as it is, I don't feel so comfortable opening it up and playing with soldering points and all this stuff. I'll do it with the little ones, but this one's going to take a little bit more care. So I may or may not get to that. We'll see. Anyway, so that's going to be battery. There's going to be the ESCs. You've already seen the motors. You already know that this setup works. I mean, there's another video where I have it with the other body running in the sand, and it works really good. It's just it didn't have the big enough battery, so I couldn't give it the punch. So you guys that are familiar with these, you can set up the punch, which is how much amperage you give the motor for takeoff. So with the other battery, I had it set at a minimum. So even though it seemed like it was taking off really fast, it was actually taking off at the slowest, weakest possible setting on the ESCs. So with this bigger battery, I'll be able to set it up higher than that. That is, of course, if the gears can handle it. That's something I'm gonna have to check. I'll be going up level by level to see how far I can go with it, and it should lead to some pretty cool videos if I'm able to get it to the highest level safely. BC, this one I could set it to run either 5 or 6 volt, and I have others that can go higher than that, but you know, a lot of people are going to complain, well, you got a really big servo in there, you know, you can make use of the higher voltage, you know, at 7.4 or whatever, but I really don't want that. I don't need it. The servo doesn't need to be as powerful, because in the sand, at the speed that this is going to be turning those wheels, is barely going to take any power out of the servo. I mean, they're just going to be dancing around anyways. And also I need to run this at 5 volts for one specific reason, and that is because that battery not only is it going to power this guy and the 2 ESCs and the 2 motors, but it's also going to be powering these guys right here. For you guys out there that are into the micro, quadcopters and all that stuff, you know what this is. This is FPV equipment, you know, the camera, transmitter, and all that good stuff. These you can run at different voltages, especially the camera. You can go from 5 to 20 volts, and this guy right here you can run from like 3.3 I believe to 5.5. So because my BSC doesn't have 5.5, I'm just gonna run it at 5. It'll run fine, and that way I'll be able to power this and the camera for as long as that battery lasts, and we should be able to get some pretty good videos out of it. Of course, I have the recorder, which will go over here with the goggles and blah blah blah. This is a really cheap setup that you can get for FPV. A lot of guys that are like beginners, they'll use this setup because it gives you pretty good performance. I mean, same company makes all the equipment. You can get all of this. It's extremely cheap as compared to other companies out there. I think the camera was like $17, the transmitter maybe like 14, recorder was maybe like, I don't know, $15. I don't know, it was all extremely cheap. The goggles I got for like 100 or 105. So for less than $150, I guess you can get the setup, you know, and you'll be able to run FPV. It's obviously not going to be as good as a Fat Cat and, you know, what's it called, Fat Shark, whatever, the other cameras that are more expensive. and the screen is going to be smaller and blah blah blah, but they work. I mean, they have adjustments, both, you know, front, back, side to side, which is really big for me because my vision, you know, is different from my right to my left eye, and I'm one of those that can't watch 3D movies because it actually makes me dizzy. You know, like when I go to the theme parks, I can't do those 3D rides because I get dizzy from just the difference. I don't know. So it's just what happens when one of your eyes is stronger than the other. So this right here, I'm able to adjust, you know, back and forth from both sides and side to side. So I get to view really good through here. And plus, this is something that my son is going to be using mostly. So I wanted something that's going to be really light and really easy for him to use. So I went ahead and got these. But anyway, that explains the BEC and why I'm going to use it at 5 volts. And I'll have to, of course, come up with a way to set all this up safely. Obviously, I'm just going to print something that's going to house all the electronics on top of here. I mean, I have all of this extra room that I made by having this box come all the way down here. And that's going to allow me to put the camera anywhere. I'll have to see what kind of clearance I have to get to be able to get the best view, because I don't want to just put it up here, you know, exposed. I kind of wanted to keep it inside, and I may be able to just, you know, put it high enough that only the lens is going to be out there, and that way I'll be able to get the whole view at the front of the vehicle, you know, like at the bottom of the video, and then see everything that's out there. And all the electronics and everything will be housed in here, including all the extra, you know, caps and stuff that you get with the ESC. So all of that, I'll be shortening all these cables, you know, making it all look decent, you know, making all this come together. And these, obviously there's not much I can do. They're gonna have to reach the motors anyway, so these will just be routed in a way that won't be in the way. But I'll try to make it look, you know, as decent as possible and actually functional, of course. And hopefully I'll be able to, you know, show you guys some videos through the FPV cameras and do the recordings so that you guys can see what it's like to actually race in the sand at extremely high speeds at this scale. And I don't know, it'll be something else that'll keep us entertained while I get all the other parts for all the micros, and I guess I come up with some new things to do with them, which, by the way, brings me to this. There's a lot of things that I'm trying to build for the micros, and I understand that the micros don't have as big as a following as they did before, you know, years ago. But because of that, I'm gonna need to get some input from you guys if you like, you know, to see something, to try something. Something that you guys might have been trying to do yourselves but you haven't had a chance to do, you know, put it down there in the comments. I'll try to see if I can make, you know, some of the stuff happen, because as you guys already know, you know, most of the things that you can do with the micros has been done. I mean, even this little guy right here, there's a bunch of people that have done chassis and, you know, different adaptations for these guys, you know, the Orlandos, even more for the Lossies and the Sumos and even the Basher. So I'm kind of, you know, I want to come up with new stuff for you guys. I don't want to repeat what other guys have done because, you know, a lot of them have done much better jobs than I could do, I guess. And for me to try to do something like them is, you know, I don't like to copy. So anything new is appreciated. Any ideas that you guys have, anything you want to try out, let me know in the comments, and I'll do my best to try to make it happen, you know. Let's try to keep the channel interesting, try new things. When I started this channel, I like to do a bunch of experiments on what would work and what wouldn't work. I burned up a lot of electronics doing that, but it was worth it because I was able to provide you guys with some information in things that you guys might have been trying to do, like with the whole servo winch, you know, videos and stuff like that. I still get, you know, comments from people on those even now, even though you can buy those now and, you know, everybody makes them. But I guess that helped out a lot of people to get an extra life out of the servos they never used. So, you know, help me out. Let me help me get this channel to where I can help you guys again, and I don't know, let's start building some cool things. You know, make it fun again. What else did I have here that I wanted to show you? Oh, got my hands on these. Yeah, these are pretty big. Thinking about doing something with these, so stay tuned. I don't know, it might turn out to be pretty cool. So we'll see what the heck comes out of these. Anyways, keep watching. Let me know. Hope you enjoy. Thanks for watching, guys.